Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Think of It This Way. I am your host, George Saradakis, instructional designer at Studio 7 Communications. And if you haven't seen an episode yet, that'll change soon. The whole premise is that I design training for a living, and to gain inspiration for new ideas, new directions, creative new ways to present training, I go beyond my own field and ask people about how they learn in their fields. I find that a lot more original than just going around my trades, magazines and websites and webinars and so forth. As well intentioned as those are, I find myself even more inspired when I ask people completely out of my field what they do in theirs and say, yeah, I could use that. And in that kind of conversation, I also aspire to help people in their fields with ideas that I've been experienced, I've acquired in my own. So all that being said and out of the way, let's get to it. My guest this week is Mary Sarli, instructor, choreographer, and performer in dance schools and theaters and so forth. And it is very much with very much curiosity and excitement I talked with her today, given that it's another form of training outside of what I usually do. So I'm very much looking forward to this episode. Mary, thank you for indulging me and for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, George. I look forward to this.
All right, let's do it without any further ado.
Let's go.
So, Mary, what I ask of absolutely everyone, because I think it's in a way, I think almost poetically, that we're all everyday superheroes that have gained their own strengths, their own superpowers, and we all have our stories. You know, why I got into learning, because I was really shoved into school and that school environment, and I made it a strength of mine and so forth. So you have quite the extensive backstory from what you've told me about, many years and decades in dancing and choreography and the stage and so forth. So as much as we know each other, I don't know how it all began. So please indulge me and let the world know of your origin story behind your passion here.
Yes.
Yeah.
How it all began. When I was young, my parents were taking ballroom dance classes.
Okay.
So they'd go on a Friday night, take their class, come back, and every once in a while there would be evening dances, like a social, let's say. And this one time they came back and said, "Oh my God, it was so fun. There were these two little kids that performed at one point during the social, and it was so nice. You guys," meaning me and my brother, "you guys got to take the lessons. They were so cute. You got to dance." And we looked at each other going, "Oh, dancing with you? No, 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 no." And lo and behold, a couple of months later, we're signed up to these classes. We're a group of kids. I don't know, we were maybe 6 to 10 kids. And in the first lesson, I learned the cha-cha and the swing.
Wow.
Triple swing.
Yeah.
And I came back home and I was so excited about it. I started teaching my grandmother in the kitchen. Wow. This is what we did. This is the triple swing. Look at this. And something had come over, like it was like, I don't know if I needed this. It spoke to me. Mm-hmm. It spoke to me. And the fact of sharing what I had just learned, to have that other person feel that as well, was just so satisfying. Like I needed to share that.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's how it all started. We took ballroom dance classes together for about 5 years. Then I went off on my own and started teaching. And the rest is history.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'll just briefly say that there was that similar thread with me, not with dancing, but with tutoring at John Abbott. I had a semester to kill because I finished in an odd amount. And I said, let me keep my brain sharp by teaching at the learning center, a little tutoring center, a peer tutoring center. And I was just teaching fellow students about calculus and physics. And then all of a sudden they started coming in all sorts of different topics. I'm like, okay, I could do this. Everyone was happy no matter what the topic. I'm like, hey, this is fun, very, very gratifying. So it was that same pleasure derived from the teaching and the
Yes.
enlightening of others and so forth. And although I didn't go into teaching right away, I went into engineering, it planted a seed for me to eventually come into educational technology. So there we go. We already have that commonality.
Nice.
But let's go back to you. So the next thing I wrote here, your career in this spans decades, and just out of curiosity, I wanted to ask, yes, you were a teacher. At the same time, to what degree were you still a student? I mean, were you teaching and teaching the basics and taking advanced classes even after 10 years, 20 years? And I wrote here, are you, for example, were you still growing as a student in year 30 of all this epic journey of yours? Is there always something to learn and pick up and adapt and
Always.
always?
There's always something to learn. When you first start, you're learning one, let's say, one specialty.
Yeah.
But so in my example, I was learning ballroom, and it was just the world of ballroom closed in.
Yeah.
Within that world, you have different instructors. So you're always learning from the way these different instructors are teaching. And you're always grabbing little bits and pieces from these instructors and keeping that for you, what sticks to you, what speaks to you. Because it's not just what they're teaching, it's the way they're teaching it, right? That'll speak to you. You could teach the exact same thing in many different versions.
Yeah.
So that alone has stuck to me. Step out of ballroom, all of a sudden I've got an interest in Argentine tango, and I've got an interest in tap, and I've got an interest in salsa. Salsa started to become big in Montreal around that time. And now a whole other world is opening up, a world where the way you speak as a dancing couple together, the signs, the instructions that are being given as a follower are different, and those can now be applied into the ballroom. So in Argentine tango, for example, there's a lot more of upper body talk, I'll say talk, and instruction given, and less with the hands. Right? So just that, a slight motion of the shoulders will tell from the leader will tell the follower, this is the step you got to do. And cool. So that opened up a whole world, because in ballroom it was all hand gesture, and and this, it was very like mechanical, it seemed, and less organic. That's what I had picked up at the time. And so you now start to use what you're learning from these different styles of dance, types of dance, and incorporate it into your own. So you're constantly learning, and that that fuels you to want to keep going. Or what else can I learn if I either keep going in tango or in salsa, or will I pick up something else if I start doing jazz now? Where it's solo dance, or if I start doing Broadway, what else am I going to learn from that?
Wow.
So I find when you're in the field of teaching, you as a student, no, you want to keep being the student.
Yeah.
So that it fuels you as a teacher, but also you're now feeling what it's like to be a student, to be on the other end, how you want to receive the information, I don't know, what tips and tricks will spark you as a student to make it happen, the dance steps, or in your case, in your instructional design. So yes, the quick answer is yes, you're always learning. You're always learning. There's always something to learn. There's always something new to experience and to discover.
And there's the way you're answering opened up like three tangents for me to ask you that weren't even on my set plan here. But you make me think of, yeah, you're basically describing body language, and it's not just in dance. I'm like when you were describing, oh, when I shift my shoulder, that means this. My mind went to baseball, when like a catcher's like, when this means, I don't know, fastball, and this means, throw to first base. I'm not a baseball expert, but by any means, but there's a whole set of body language there. It's really to a professional level. It's like $1 million are on the line, whether you throw the right thing and whatnot. So this is very important, I think, understated in people's day-to-day lives. So that's it's pretty fascinating. And indeed, the way you can incorporate one element of dance into another element of dance, that's why they call things fusion. You can, there are infinite, for all intents and purposes, infinite amount of ways you can mix things together. And there's even like MMA, mixed martial arts. So yeah, there's always something to smush together and make a cool new hybrid out of, This is one of the things that popped up that's not even in my little script here, or whatever you want to call it, set of questions. Do you find it's better, or do you have a preference about, or do you see pros and cons to trying to combine everything at once versus trying to master one thing? Like if you find it advantageous for some people to just focus on salsa, and if they try to go into tango at the same time, they'll mix things up. So it's better to be focused and go deep than try to go too wide and mesh things together. Because that's always a dilemma of mine, trying to learn too widely versus deeply. And, where do you draw the line in the spectrum?
My personal suggestion would be, yes, to focus on one thing deeply, to master that, to fully understand how and what the body needs to do before moving on to something else.
Okay. So
why is that? Because the lines of communication tend to mesh together right away. And then there's a confusion that starts to happen. And then you're struggling with yourself mentally going, yeah, but he said this, and then this one said that, and then so I should be doing this like this and this like that. And that all happens at a premature level, so by focusing on, I'm throwing it out there, just ballroom, let's say, if you start off with ballroom as a starter, then you're getting a full grasp and understanding of the language that is being spoken, how you handle, the partner or various partners that come along, and the relationship on the floor, then with the other dancers. There's all those elements to, how you relate to the music as well. And in ballroom, we're not just talking about one dance. Within that, there's, a good 10 dances that you could focus on. So it's just that style. And then move on to something else where you've acquired a base knowledge. And then be able to mold it and change it and not change it, but learn the sophistication in the other one. So that there is that distinct, pull apart.
Okay. So what I'm getting is
that was my experience. That's how I lived it. I'm happy to have lived it like that. There's no regrets at all, because when I did jump into Argentine tango, I had already a strong knowledge of partnership dance, relationship on the floor, the feeling of the music, relating to the music. Like, it's not just doing steps, it's feeling the dance, and then all that changes is the content. Afterwards,
Okay. So what I'm getting is that, you can mix, but it's sort of like a question of earning the right to dabble or to go to other fields, and you earn the right by mastering one, and to the point where, as they say, almost become at least not, if not a master, at least, well, they say like unconsciously competent. Like, it's like driving, you don't have to think about it anymore. And then, okay, once you got really good, then move on to other things where the first thing is so solid, you can start mixing without messing the first thing up because it's so solid, so entrenched.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. That would be my personal, preference. So as not to even like to feel anxious or to get that, that feel of, I did a little bit of this and I'm not quite sure, but now I'm going to do this other thing. And then this other, and like keep on jumping, like, why? You have to ask yourself, why are you doing that? Now, I'm not discounting the fact that it doesn't happen. I'm sure it does happen, everywhere. Everyone wants to, not everywhere. People do want to learn many things, at the same time.
Right.
You got to just ask yourself, why do you want to do that? What is the purpose, of this? However, things that can mix would be, let's say, if you're doing partnership dance, well, then you might want to take a ballet class. Ballet class is personal, like single, you're not relating in a partnership dance with somebody else. You're working on your own posture, your own, pole de bras, how your legs, move, or your flexibility. You're working on that. So that can happen in tandem. Ballet, jazz, contemporary, whatever it is, that I can see happening in tandem because you're working on your own personal, but technique, flexibility. It's within the world of partnership dance that I would say focus on one thing.
Okay,
move on to
that
the
makes
other.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So as I figured, and especially with your origin story, a lot of this is passion based. More to use very simplified, oversimplified probably lingo compared to most people's office jobs. This is a profession that's more heart based versus brain based. Of course, it's in reality it's more of a spectrum, but it's practically it as whatchamacallit, what's the word I'm looking for? It says there's almost this polarizing duality or something between I will paint, at least for now, between a profession that's more heart-based and more brain-based. And I'm thinking a lot of people come to a dance class because there's something more visceral than just trying to perform an office job. There's something in their heart and their soul and their spirit and all that stuff. And they want to express themselves and live life more, at least more artistically, passionately, and whatever. And my question is that at least in your experience and what you've seen and done and so forth, does that heart-based desire always translate into successful training and performance in dance or the stage or whatnot? Or have you seen your fair share of at risk of sounding goofy, whatever, like those poor American Idol souls that want to sing their hearts out and then they open their mouth, it's like, oh, kid, I'm so sorry, but no. So yeah, it's almost a morbid, masochistic or sadistic question, but that's part of it. They're like, you say people, I get a lot of, follow your passion and your dreams and so forth. But for people who want to do that for stage and whatever, do they always manage, or how often do they manage to turn that into talent on the stage, on the floor, and so forth, in your experience?
For sure, passion speaks all the time.
Yeah.
When you speak with passion, the message translates like this. The sale is done faster.
Okay.
Right? When you're speaking with passion, when it comes from the heart. When I'm choreographing a large group, my willingness for them to see and to more feel rather than see feel what I'm feeling is what drives me to get them to perform as well. Because again, it comes back to that feeling when I was 8 years old, going, this is how I felt, and it felt really good. I want you to share in this feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's deep. It's deep inside. People who are doing it for just fun, personal reasons. Let's say I want to get better, or I want to be able to dance when I go to weddings or when I go to functions. There's that feeling of ease on the floor. Just not being shy to get up and dance or ask somebody to dance. So you want to translate that passion for feeling comfortable, right? For feeling at ease, that, okay, this is not such a big deal. Like, let's get you to feel comfortable. For the ones who want to do it for performance level, again, there's that passion of look what I can do. Look how I'm feeling inside, and I want you as an audience to feel that as well. Join me in that emotion. I'm not sure if I'm answering.
Well, you're letting me know that it plays a huge factor, and indeed, like the feelings, the emotions are a huge part of it, and what drives the performance. What I was getting at with the American Idol thing is that how often, or if at all, can you have someone that has a deep desire and deep emotion for this? Maybe they too had a emotional backstory with parents or whatever, 8 years old, and yet for all their passion and desire, it doesn't translate into the mechanical ability to make certain steps and moves and have that timing and choreography and all that. Will passion make you win the day every time on the floor, or can you still be a klutz with all the passion in the world?
Again, I guess it depends what it is that the goal is aiming for, right? What is the goal?
Yeah.
Is the goal to cast someone in a show, in a musical, to perform a certain role? Then yes, you will get a variety of, I'm full of passion, but the technique isn't quite there,
right.
in the movement, and it's going to look quite. So then you have to play the judge role.
Yeah.
And select that. Yes, that does happen. If your goal is just to learn to have fun as an extra hobby, as or just to be comfortable at a function, there are no klutzes.
Okay.
You're doing it for fun, and my tagline is dance like nobody's watching.
Right.
Who cares what everybody else, is seeing? It's how you feel inside. If you feel comfortable, then that's, let that passion shine. Let that come out. It depends what the overall goal is. What needs, in your world, it'd be called needs-based analysis.
Yeah,
right.
That was my next question. I saw that on your notes, and I'm like, needs analysis. Wait a minute, I do that. What's your version of that? So, what exactly are you assessing? You'd ask, are you doing this to hit the stage versus to look good at weddings or to just have fun or whatever? And to how deep what does a needs analysis in your world constitute of? And how far do you take? What questions do you ask?
So, for example, when I'm hired to choreograph for a choir that has 60 people in it, my needs analysis would look as follows. What is it, your overall goal for the show that you want to put on? Because the choir will put on a show at the end of the year. Well, we want everyone to be unified. There's no solos, there's no duets, there's no singling people out.
Okay.
It's everyone does the same thing. Okay, great. So that's already one venue to go. Following that, okay, I've got 60 people. What are their levels? Right? Am I teaching all advanced material? Am I teaching all beginner material? What is their level of, I guess, dance ability, right? And this is amateur we're talking about, okay? It's not people who are doing this for a living or to get paid to
Right.
any kind. This is your well, your activity,
Okay.
right? Your week activity. Okay. So what are their abilities? What are their levels of energy? And how much are they willing to let themselves shine? Are they people who are more reserved and a little shy, would just prefer to stand and sing? Because these choirs sing, dance, perform. Okay. Or are they energetic? Are they willing to, to mix in the singing and the dancing and let them speak out? So we go through a process of auditions where in teaching them little, variations, we can see how they master the step, how long it takes them to master the step, and how they adapt to direction. At a given moment, I'll say, okay, now pretend you're on that stage, the lights have gone down, your family is in the audience watching you. Music comes on. Show me how, what is your presence at that point. So how do they adapt? Now, this audition process, of course, happens in a span of maybe half an hour, 20 minutes sometimes. So all of that information can be picked up in that 20 minutes. So from that, the singers are selected, and then we get an idea of what level they're at, how fast they can pick up the patterns, and what their level of comfort is on stage. So there's a needs analysis right there. So with all that information, then a choreography is then put together, where you got to make sure that it's at a level where 60 people can all get it.
Yeah.
Not just the 10 or 15 that are at the highest level, right? If you do that, then everybody crashes and burns.
Yeah.
So 60 people can all master it, can all look good, can all look in unison, have fun doing it, not be stressed on the stage, and be able to shine in their own body while singing the lyrics at the same time. So there's the needs analysis right there. What do you want? What's your end result? And the resources that you're giving me, how are they molded? What do they look like?
Cool. Yeah, because I see it's very similar at the outset, but for most of the time, mine could be 1, 2, let's say 3 interview sessions, whereas yours has to be way more experiential. And that you're partially answering the next question I have here about, how do you teach to a multiple group like that? So part of it is that you have to have overlapping needs analysis with it, because I'm thinking, I make e-learning most of the time. So you could have that e-learning if you're really slow with it for whatever reason. Play the same darn slide over and over again. No one's gonna bother you. You're not hindering anyone else's speed and so forth. So
Right.
I'm like immune to that kind of dilemma. When I trained, and if ever I train again, you know, it depends on what's being asked of us. Even then, it's not as complicated. Better for or worse, because unless someone is really outspoken and says, "No, I don't get this, I don't get that, I don't get that," they would stay silent, and at least there's this appearance that you know there's a certain flow, and most people are getting it, and the people that aren't getting it are just you know silent to themselves, and hopefully will catch up one way or another. But this here, you know, you can't hide falling behind. You know,
You can't hide.
the
No.
body betrays them. So I was gonna say 60 people, each. You know, it's like it's almost. Uh, I almost feel bad about saying it. It's almost like you have to teach the lowest common denominator, or better put, find a way to elevate those that are not the masters as high up as they can go, but still draw a ceiling as well, knowing that they're not going to be, you know, the next Fred Astaire, MC Hammer, whatever you want to throw out there. So it's like you got to like, okay, put the bar somewhere in the middle, not too high, not too low, where everyone's going to be all right. This is good enough, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to make a decision.
Yes.
Right. But yes, you do want to elevate people because they're doing this for fun. At the outset, they're there to have a good time. It's their outlet. It's their, you know, once a week activity.
Yeah.
Right. So they're there to have a good time. You're not there to get them frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to start with that knowledge, and that's your base. Whatever spews out after that, always remember they're here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you do want to elevate them so that they feel like they've gotten something out of it, and that their level increases. The ones who are already elevated, we give them some other tasks. You know, we'll let them be, let's say, shadows, or partner up, let's say, with some other people to help them out, or make them be team captains, let's say.
Ah, cool.
You know, to be so they're working on increasing their level a different way. You know, they're mastering their steps, but they're also teaching somebody else, and in the interest of everybody's going to look good together in unison. Where is I going? I lost my train of thought, George.
If you want, just hang out back to me. I have another question lined up.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
All right, yeah. So that I'm getting this little epiphany now that, you know, voila, we're a lot closer than I initially thought, because in my next notes here, I was reading about your descriptions of this part of your profession, determining ability level, like you're just mentioning, creating choreography to match ability. So it's not my mini epiphany is you're not there to you know, crank out a new cast for, I'm saying anything, forgive me if I'm ignorant, whatever, Cats or Chicago or whatever. Everyone has to, you know, nail this number and da da da. You're saying it's custom choreography. So I'm like, wait a minute, we do custom e-learning, so we can't do it too easy, too hard, whatever. It's like, where in part of the needs analysis, where are they at? What part would be too bozo and intelligence insulting? What part would be too galactic and like you know, revolting or repulsing because it's too difficult? We got to find it just right. So
right,
it's like you're creating a new musical or production or whatever based on what you have, versus trying to live up to something handed down from Broadway that you have to replicate.
well, it's like giving a university course to
Yeah.
somebody in elementary school. Right.
Yeah.
What level are you teaching at? Are you teaching at elementary level, high school, CEGEP, university? Like, where are they now, and how much can they handle?
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to give a university level student elementary school material?
Right.
they're going to be like falling asleep on you in 2 seconds,
Yes.
right? They're going to be like, okay, what's this? I'm not elevating here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the opposite is true. You're going to have deer in headlights in elementary school kids if you start teaching them calculus,
Right.
you know, right away. They're going to be like, So yes, where are they at now? And give them that level with just a little bit more to elevate them, to make them feel like they've accomplished something, to make them feel good, to make them want to continue. Because in the end, they're there to have fun. If you make it, if you give them material that's not too difficult, that does give them a bit of challenge, they'll find it easy. And with easy, they'll progress. One of my early trainings at an Arthur Murray Dance School where I used to teach, that's one of my, the first place I taught, that was our motto: fun, easy, progress. If it's fun, the student will find it easy. If it's easy, they'll progress. And that can translate into any type of learning.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the flow curve there. The guy whose last name is indecipherable there, Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, whatever it is, like basically a book that says don't make it too easy, don't make it too hard. Right in the middle, you'll find flow. You'll find
Flow.
people so absorbed in it that it's just out of their reach, and they're like, I could taste it. Let me just do one.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's what keeps them in the game.
Right.
So the next notes I have here is about how you provide solutions to learning issues. So we talked about, first off, discern the right ability level.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what part of the time those learning issues are mechanical, choreographical coordination, or what part of it is just emotional, or if emotional can create mechanical problems. I think it's one big ball, like where we dissect. I tend to dissect it, at least. But when you say learning issues, what kind do you mean? How are they based? Again, emotional versus just mechanics. Is it just a matter of time before they get it with drill and practice? And what kind of solutions do you provide?
So yes, it does happen where, you notice, and like you said, the body speaks. You notice in the crowd that so-and-so is not fully getting the step, not fully mastering it. And their body starts to, cave in, look down. They don't want anyone else to notice that, I'm not getting it. And they just keep to themselves. As a teacher, you sense that, you feel that, right? And you don't want to exclude them.
Right.
With that, I don't like to single people out within the group. At the end or at a break time, I'll go up to them and say, hey, speak to them one-on-one. I've noticed that you're having a little, bit of a hard time. Can I help you with it? Can we just move aside? Go, let's take a little 5 minutes and I'll work with you. Or I'll get a team captain to chat with them and have the team captain help them out. In other instances, I would do a Zoom, a one-on-one with the person, or that person pre-COVID times.
Yeah.
Come over here, as I have a dance studio right here in my house, and we would work on it.
Okay.
1 hour or half an hour or whatever it was to master those kinks. So that's helping that way. Other types of issues would be like emotional ones. Maybe they're having a hard time with something in their personal life outside, and it's so strong, it's translating into having a difficulty in learning. But that's emotional.
Yeah.
So then we'll have a chat again, one-on-one, never singling anybody out in front of everybody. That does not improve learning. or we'll have the, let's say, the president of the theater group, or the director, have a chat with them and see what's happening and give them some emotional support. This one particular group, new people have buddies. New people who come in to the choir have a more experienced buddy who will walk through them, not walk through them, what am I saying? Who will help them out throughout the first year with anything that comes up. They call them their godparent,
Okay.
les parrains, les marrains,
Yeah.
And so they'll have that one person to associate with, and to help them with anything emotional, because it could be overwhelming for some people. You sign up to be in a choir that performs. There's a lot of elements in there, so yeah, you need that support along the way. So we always want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and keep it at that level as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, they're there to have fun.
Indeed. Okay. So
they're there to enjoy themselves and feel like they're improving. There is no point anywhere in any part of life to send someone down a hole, right? What does that do?
Excellent.
What does that say about you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good, very heartwarming and humane. And most of it, like, how well do these interventions, like, let's take you aside and nurture you a little bit more. How effective are they usually? Like, to what do you have people usually be able to reintegrate successfully?
I would say 95% of the time, yes.
Excellent. Cool.
Yes, absolutely. And the satisfaction comes, a couple of months later when they have reintegrated, or towards the end at performance time at the show, where all the emotions come flowing out.
Yeah.
And they're like, they come and thank you. Right?
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you for taking me over that hump. Thank you for, everything you've done. And that in itself, that, like, the job is done. Like,
yeah, that's like a spiritual paycheck, if you will. That must be a great feeling.
Absolutely. And there, that your passion has been translated, has been transferred over.
Very cool.
Yeah.
To go into some learning geek stuff here, part of your notes said creating tools such as videos, written descriptions, and diagrams. Going, oh, now you're speaking my language here.
Yes.
You're doing infographics or something, or you're taping yourself dancing, and you're taking editing software and, like, slowing down the step. Like, what kind of tools here? Please do tell. This is a lot. This is really juicy stuff for me. I may end up grabbing an idea or two and making stuff on my own.
Oh, okay, cool. I love it. So everybody learns in different ways.
Yeah.
Right? Some people are more cerebral, others are more visual. So you have to be able to feed all those ways so that at the end, everyone comes to the same, even level ground, right? So their first obvious tool is that you're teaching them in person live, right? It's the teacher in the class teaching the patterns. So the additional tools are the steps written out on a score sheet. So a score has all the music and the lyrics written out, and the patterns or particular steps are written on that same score sheet. I like doing it that way because then you see it exactly what beat a certain move or foot will step on, how long it lasts, or people will associate, instead of the beat or the note of the music, they'll associate a word to it. So some people learn that way. I've got the videos as well. So for those who are visual, I will teach the choreography in chunks, tape myself teaching it slowly, and then on the music. Because what happens often when I teach live, at the end of the session, it gets videotaped. But it's hard to see me dance. In the videotape, you'll see everybody dance.
Mm-hmm.
But in that first learning session, there's errors that happen. It's normal. You don't always grasp it the first time around. So by me videotaping myself and teaching it again, then they'll get the step right the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, following so-and-so who you thought had it right, but now doesn't have it right. So now he's making a mistake and you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So there's that. And then there's charts with the movement, where the choreography goes. So sometimes it's not always stand and dance on the spot. It's, I'm going to move this way to stage right, and then I'm going to come back down and travel with this other group and mix around. And now the lines are doing this kind of circle. And, so there's the chart to know where you are at what point, where you travel from position 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, whatever.
It reminds me of a storyboard. In scene 1, you're going to be here, you can do this circular thing, and in scene 2, there's going to be this dip or something. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's what it is. So you've got the full picture. All the tools are there, and the third tool, an additional tool is the team captains. At a certain point of the year, we'll start holding practices on a Friday night. And, leading up to showtime, every Friday night, we give this additional practice. So the team captains, so the team captain of the sopranos, of the altos, of the basses, of the tenors will be there and will help out everybody practice their patterns, because it's not everybody that'll practice at home on their own. They need a little bit of motivation, and will do it only if they're with other people. So that's an added thing. You don't have the discipline of practicing on your own is not always obvious.
Right. Do you, this is a tangent question, not on my program here, but do you knight, so to speak, these captains from day one, or do they emerge from a combination of talent and leadership and so on?
Yeah, I think they merge. You see it as you're going along.
Okay.
Who has the talent, the ability? Sometimes it's the willingness. They really want to help other people, and they come to you and say, I'd like to do this.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Can I help you out? I have time, because it's also a question of time. And they propose themselves, and that's all good, because it's not always talent that leads it, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's talent, and then there's the softer skills, if you will, of the leadership and so forth.
Exactly, like in any job.
Exactly, which segues into the next question. What do you know? Look at that. Didn't even hurt. So, indeed, just to open up the chest a little bit more here, just to let people know, this isn't your full-time affair. You've been involved many years in project coordination, training needs consulting, creating, maintaining project procedures and reports for all the world to know. We met at Pratt & Whitney. That's where we go back from. So, so lots of training there. And I would say inevitably, some of this has seeped into your daytime career, professional career, whatever you want to call it. I'm just curious as to how much, because I know I let my sense of humor, my need for creativity, I let it go at Pratt, I let it go here. This is an extension of it. This is part of the job, but it's part of the job that I got to create, and I have the freedom to do so. So how much of this passion do you find yourself consciously, even, whoops, how did that get there? Oh, whatever, even unconsciously bleed into or creep into the other side of your life?
Absolutely. Always letting creativity seep in
Yeah,
somehow, because I find that juices me up, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So whether it's creating processes for people so that they don't have to memorize how to do something, or oh, how is it that I'm supposed to submit my expense report? What am I supposed to do in this day? So a process, a chart, whatever that's made and shared with them. Whether it's recreating a budget sheet that is visually appealing to look at, easy to look at, and to understand, and to update for that matter. So what I'm doing is infusing my creativity and teaching ability
Yeah.
to make things easier for people to assimilate and to understand and to grasp. I'm giving them information. So that's my teacher side. And the passion to feel comfortable and at ease, right? Look at how fun this is on this end. I want you to have that fun and to have that comfort as well.
So see, it goes back to your origin story. Your parents passed on that flame of passion and fun and emotion. And you're like, oh my God, this is great. And you wanted to pass it on to other dancers. Now it's like, okay, why just other dancers? So bring that torch to the office.
Bring it on.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're all there working under the same umbrella. We need to, I believe in elevating ourselves, right? Co-elevating ourselves so that we can all enjoy our stay, right, at the job, make it interesting, not just by the 5-minute water cooler fountain chat. It's not that brings us to work. It's how are we making our work more enjoyable every day by what we're doing in that moment, every single moment.
Yeah.
Right? Enjoying the moment. So we need to help each other out that way. And that's how I found my creativity and my sharing of knowledge to help other people enjoy their time, their work. Let's face it, I'm a budget analyst right now, looking at numbers constantly every single day, is dry as all heck, right? Giving a budget analysis to your boss is dry as all heck. Let's make this fun. Let's make this creative. Let's make it visually easy for you, boss, to make your decisions.
Yeah. Oh, you say it's dry, but it doesn't necessarily have to be dry.
It doesn't.
you make me think of Big Fat Greek Wedding there, where the father's like tries to put some jelly on the dry toast in-laws, and and he gets frustrated. But the idea being that it doesn't have to be dry. I had a Concordia instructor tell me once that he went to a lecture for whatever reason on how to sand glass, or how to turn sand into glass, and you think that'd be dry, but the guy was so passionate about it that it became fascinating. And you're like, really? Oh,
yeah.
So it's like you can make anything fascinating. So I'm doing courses now on the side about information visualization, and that dry analysis report. Well, if there's a story behind it, if there's like I don't know, an event that sparked layoffs, or that a new thing in technology that sparked a new opportunity, and you somehow make a little chart with arrows and colors and whatever that said, oh, look, this is where the market is heading, and this is where we are, and then it becomes almost a video game or something. Oh, if I move my pace here, then we could have this. So there's a way to liven just about anything up. I mean, it can't be boring to everyone, otherwise it wouldn't exist. You know, someone somewhere finds it fascinating, and you have to
Yes.
tap into that. Even when I'm like doing some of my projects, look, I'm grateful for all of them. Admittedly, some at the beginning are like, I'm doing this, you're going to give me this. How do I make this interesting? And then by hook or by crook, it's like, it's my job. And then maybe it takes me 3-4 weeks. I'm like, oh, there's this angle to it. I could inject a story, a little case study, a little thing. Okay, it's not so bad. And then I have to sell myself on it. Otherwise, I think it's pulling my own teeth out or something. So, no, fortunately, I can't say I've detested projects work, but I can say that some of them are like, how am I going to make this? And then, but it's my job to find a way. And
Exactly.
I talk to people like you to find inspiration. I take improv. I returned to improv recently just to find ways to infuse that creativity in me. So,
And I bet those jobs that at first seemed cringy
yeah,
became probably one of your
highlights,
highlights.
because I had to surpass myself and go
Yes.
above the cookie cutter approach.
Yes.
Yeah,
It happened.
Yeah,
It happened to me. I clearly remember I was given a song from Phantom of the Opera,
uh-huh.
and it was very la 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 la, very like, you know, sharp. And when I first heard it, I went, oh, dang, no, 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 no. I had to hear it a couple more times, and after a while, I said, this is not going to work if I keep on complaining about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not going to work. So I had to creak open the door at first until it fully opened to allow myself to step in and feel that song and really work at it to send the message, you know, to place the singers in that mood as well.
Yeah.
And to be able to send and live up to the message that that song was trying to send. It became one of my favorite choreographies because we did some workouts, you know, exercises, you know, to build up to the posture of that, you know, the time period that it's happening at, right? All very regal. And you know, how would you walk if you were in that time period and dressed to the nines, you know, like that, with, you know, these big things on your head. And then creating movement that translated that. And it was really one of my favorite ones in the end. And I listen to that song now without cringing, because it's like, it's got some, you know, important lessons there.
Absolutely, yeah.
That came out.
Sounds like you went on a hero's journey. You know, you were dragged into it at first, kicking and screaming. Then you came out champion. And yeah.
At least for me, just for myself.
Well, that's all that matters.
I made it fun and creative, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because and again, we roll back. If you believe it, if you have passion for it, that passion will then translate onto the others.
Yes. So at this point, do you? I guess I'm looking at the notes, trying to, you know, adjust them to what I haven't asked or whatever. But I guess the way to ask most concisely is, you know, where would you want to go from here under all the circumstances? We chatted, of course, naturally as we prep for this, like you know, with the pandemic, you're certainly limited to what you can do as a choreographer and whatnot. You know, some Zoom stuff here and there, but it's a little constraining. Is there? It's just I guess another challenge of how do you go around this and find some ingenious new way to reinvent the field, and if not reinvent the field, at least you know, channel something into a new direction for yourself on the job. Or, you know, I find many people are trying to, well, definitely have to adapt, but some people not a choice. So I noticed the Montreal Improv now that it's heading towards summertime. There's some outdoor improv. I know I have an acquaintance who has a training studio, a fitness training studio, so he's doing outdoor training. How do you see the world of dance and choreography and adapt and thrive and reinvent itself in the face of all these challenges where, you know, you can't just jam 12 people without a thought in your basement right now because COVID, and all that. So how do you already have an inkling of how do you want to surpass this and come out of it even stronger than before because of this new mentality and just like you overcame the resistance to that song, overcome the challenge of not being able to do things you were able to do so easily before?
Um, Again, my work, most of the choreography I do, the goal is to put on a performance.
Yeah.
So in this past year, the work has stopped, full stop, because we're not able to put on a performance, like a live performance.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Some people have been able, some groups, I would say, have been able to do, Zoom performances.
Right.
Right. And put that together. With the groups that I've worked with, that wasn't their goal, or they didn't want to have that. So I'm hired, right, to choreograph. So I have not been able to do in person or any Zoom type of choreography. What I foresee as summer is coming, yes, people will be outdoors doing classes. I foresee Argentine Tango continuing their outdoor sessions. I believe they had some last summer as well, people in masks dancing. I have a high hope that we'll all get vaccinated very soon in the next, few months.
Yep.
And perhaps we'll be able to come back to in-person teaching. I don't have any, I haven't given it in much thought, actually. I haven't planned any Zoom or online things. At the beginning, I did, give a little bit of training to one particular group and give them a goal. Okay, practice this and come back to it. But it's not always easy, right? It's tough. There's your mental health that comes first. So like I said, I haven't given it much thought for myself, for my need. I do this as a passion, and so I will follow the groups whenever they require choreography to be done. For ballroom dancing, yes, I guess we can do some stuff outside as a couple. Teaching a couple who would want to dance, but even then, where are they going to go dance? Right? It's tough. I have a friend who owns a dance studio, and her classes are online. God bless her, but it's all technique work.
Yeah.
Right? All single technique work, and people want the social aspect of it.
Yes.
Right? To be able to dance, to be able to have fun. They're going to a party. They're doing this for fun, So my particular work is choreography for performances. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait until performances are back so that we can get back to it.
As you wait though, do you try to keep the kindling warm and glowing by practicing moves? Like, okay, I'm gonna work on this, and as soon as everyone's ready to come out again, bam, I'm already gonna have this piece ready to go. Like I follow DJs a lot on because I still use young electronic music to work out and stay young in spirit, and everyone's like, oh man, well, we haven't toured one lick, but the music we've created in the meantime, it's like 3 times their output because they don't have to jump from one club to another. They're staying at home in their studio home, mansions with their studio built in. And like, oh yeah, it's like, I made 4 albums worth over the past year because I got to stay home. And I interviewed my a cousin of mine a couple of episodes ago, and he's like, oh, this has been a blessing. The amount of music I've been able to compose and everything. He's more of a classical composer. He went to Berkeley in Boston and everything, but there's some, all that to say that there's you could definitely find a bright side if you look hard enough. For
Absolutely.
the artistic types, it's like, oh,
Yes.
I'm just gonna keep producing stuff like to my heart's content. Mind
Yeah.
you, to be a composer, you don't need to co-create with a bunch of students. But I'm guessing there's something in there. It's like, I think I would create this thing at this level of difficulty that could apply to just about anyone. And when as soon as everyone can come out to play, I'm gonna stick it on them. It's gonna be amazing, and it's gonna be a blessing that this happened.
So for me, it's research.
Research.
Right. This past year it was just research. Yes, I kept on learning.
Yeah.
I took classes
Yeah.
online that were given by whatever various studios in New York, here in Montreal. I took classes. So I did a lot of training, a lot of fitness training to keep up my level of fitness, my energy, to be able to then translate that in my work later on. Research in terms of watching, old shows, movies. When I say shows, I mean musicals,
Yeah.
movie musicals, or that have dance in it. Watching live, dance shows also on TV. So that's all research and training.
Yeah.
And training. So you take notes like, oh, I like how they did that, and I like how that pattern, changed around. So I would use the concepts without necessarily creating the choreography in advance, because it's my work is needs based, right? I have to know what song I'm working on, who I'm working with, so I can definitely research and keep the structures, the notes, what the visuals that I see, and then apply those structures to what I will create in the future. We don't usually create a choreography in advance to then apply it to any type of song.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely work keeps on going, and the silver lining is of this 1 year plus of being at home is we're learning to, I guess, slow things down for ourselves, and really going down deep and figuring out what really matters, and working on that, and just taking your time and being present, right?
Absolutely.
Being more present, and just enjoying what it is that we have already, because yes, it's a pandemic and we haven't been able to be as free, but we have our health if we follow the rules that have been set out, right? We have our health. So what can we do with that? And there's lots of things we could do.
Yeah, very good. It's funny. I've been preached about presence many times as of late, and sometimes I catch myself treating it just as a concept instead of a lifestyle, and I have to ingrain it as a habit. So it's sometimes easier said than done, but I'm getting there. It's very good,
and you can use that. I'm sure you definitely can use that in your improv.
Oh yeah, it's critical. It's critical.
Critical.
I get caught in my head, and you can't be in a scene. And, no, I don't want that idea. And then it's like, shut up, jump in, and play with it. Be in the moment.
That's right.
I fight it all. Whatever makes me good as an instructional designer makes me lousy in improv. So I'm not like I just learned yesterday from one of my teachers, Dale, that there are 3 common improv student archetypes. I think robot, pirate, ninja. And like the robot's the guy who comes in a little too analytical and gets lost in the head because of it. And I forget what ninja is, but pirate's like trying to be too outlandish and too flamboyant and too little substance or something like that. He just introduced it yesterday, so I can't be very accurate, but it was good to know that there's an archetype, so there's a solution to that archetype. But I think it boils down to presence, really, and that's why I persist in it, even though I'm very critical of myself being not good enough, not developing fast enough, whatever. It's like, no, I'm great at analyzing the living crap out of something and making a great product out of it, but that's not all of life. And I have to learn to change the channel and to jump into dance, which I've dabbled into with Saint Tropez and whatever in the past. That's a whole other thing. There's a whole lot of it's surrender to the moment rather than thinking and designing and fine tuning till you finally feel safe to present something, your baby. And it's like in improv and dance, you got 15 seconds to show off your baby, not a 6-week timeline with a Gantt chart or whatever like
That's
you do
right.
at work. So it's a whole
That's
other
right.
channel that I'm trying to develop because I don't want to be a one-trick pony, so
and as a teacher
yeah
slash choreographer, working on that presence and then being in front of your students and teaching, you have to be present
yeah
and feel, sense what's happening then, focusing on whatever it is that you're teaching, but also being present and listening to how it's being adapted.
yeah feedback.
That person is not connecting right now, like being sensitive enough to feel that, all those little intricacies. And when it translates into performance, of course, like you said, once you're on stage and you're performing, there's no other place to be but being present.
Yeah.
You don't need to, where are you going to go? You're here, the lights are on, the orchestra's playing the song. You got to sing to it at this moment. Right. What are you feeling? Right? Mm-hmm. It all boils down. What are you feeling? And let that come out. So there's presence everywhere.
And one of my challenges is that I could hide behind the excuse I make automated, like almost robotic learning, but if I let it, and my thing is like, how do I infuse presence when everything is a pre-packaged, pre-narrated, automated, click on this button, and frankly, I want to continue evolving. It's this innate, lifelong, blessing / curse, double-edged sword. I still want to grow, and I am coming to a point where I want to how do you make the e-learning more personal when it's, like I said, so prepackaged, click a bunch of buttons and things, details such as how you say something in what you write for a slide. I'm getting sick of being too didactic and click on next and here are the advantages and in too much of a formal type way. I want to like almost experiment and I've already been doing this. When I get chosen to narrate, I try to infuse more emotion and conviction versus like the old 20-year-ago model where you're talking like an airline pilot and welcome to this e-learning and this
right.
is captain speaking and you'll be learning da 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 and click on the next. Like that's not me, damn it. I want to yes, it's learning in a can or whatever you want to call it, but it doesn't mean that can has to be so bland. Like you can make everything exciting. And there's we too need feedback. That's why we have little knowledge checks and whatever. But the challenge is really for providing extra help, if you will, but in an automated fashion. If someone can't come over to my place for a half-hour one-on-one or whatever. So the challenge is how do you take care of these people? And it's automated assessments. And if you're having difficulty, click on. You could have this job aid or this thing. So there's different ways, just like there's different ways for you. So these are all these things I'll be thinking about after I reflect on this. So thank you for the exchange.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. So that's about it for me. So I guess at this point, I always say to people, give them the opportunity to, whatchamacallit, advertise any endeavors of theirs. Now I guess things are you're laying low for now, given the situation, but. I don't know if there's anything you want to recommend people to do. Is there anything people can do while they wait if they want to get into this, or just give the advice of go watch this show or go watch?
Well, they can definitely watch all kinds of shows, whatever interests them to to at least feel good about
right
performance, or feel good about themselves, dancing. But also they can definitely take their studios that offer some classes, and I would suggest classes where you work on your own physical ability, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So a ballet class, I know those are offered, a jazz, contemporary. There's, you can go as far as New York City or California and take online classes from masters there. Why not?
Cool.
You're saving all the travel cost, but you're getting the master, you know? So definitely you can improve yourself there, and stay in movement, stay in motion. If anything, a walk outside half an hour a day, to keep that energy, that blood flowing, you know, stay in that physical activity, because that's what will get you through.
It's funny you mentioned that. I have some limitations, physical limitations, so I can't work out like a unchained 20-year-old like I used to. I'm getting osteo treatments to be able to regain some of that, but I had to surrender macho workouts a la P90X, and I noticed when it's just work, head, I'd burn out like that. So in all that together, I said, okay, I'm just gonna walk in the morning, at lunchtime, and in the evening, just reset my circadian rhythm, get the lymph moving, back to basics, and it's worked out well. Like you can't. I underestimated sunshine and just fresh air and everything, and now I feel like a fuller, more productive human being now that I've done the simplest of things. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And fortunately, we're at the period of the year where the weather is getting better, so that physical activity could come in bike form, if you can. Jogging or whatever it is, playing tennis, I don't know. So yeah, stay in movement. You don't need fancy equipment, or weights at home to do stuff. Even throwing the ball with someone, if you live with others, or not, getting together in a park. There's lots of things if you really want to explore them.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that just about wraps it. I'll throw in my publicity stuff. Anyone who wants to see more episodes, the YouTube channel is set up. If anything, you could even write to me, feedback, comments, whatever. And if you want to be a guest yourself, sky's the limit. It's very open and friendly and amenable to anything. So until then, leave your comments, click the like, all that stuff that YouTubers always say to do. Do that if you have a moment. But other than that, Mary, thank you so much. This was a very pleasant, very warm, fuzzy conversation. I really enjoyed it, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, George. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Love talking to you.
Likewise. All right, that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next episode.